All right, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, wherever we are. Um, we have come up to a very important step in the process, and that'll be gluing up. So here's the drawer. There's the front of it. Doesn't quite fit in the in the main box yet because it's a little too wide. But like I said, I'd rather it be too big right now than too small because I can now size it to fit. It is not glued up. We're doing that. We're going to do that today. You got the overhang on the back. I have, since we've last been here, properly fitted all of these pieces so that way, and I'm gonna have to lean it up for the camera, but the pen will fit in the individual grooves in between here. These three pieces are they're there. They're going to be glued in. I'm a little disappointed with I kind of mismeasured the shoulder length, and there's a little gap, but it is not structural. It's just there to give me a little, so the pens will go on one side and I can use the other side for whatever I want. I have taken the time to, I've taken it apart, put it back together a number of times because I want the dry run to know how am I going to put it together when the time comes. I want to make sure I'm not surprised by anything. So I have, every step of the process I've taken apart, put it together. What's the order of operations in order to do that most efficiently? And now I just have to add glue to everything as I go. I have sanded, scraped. I got rid of all the extra glue on the inside because, again, once it's glued together and it's in this form, sanding in here is going to be very, very tough. I will have to do it a little bit when the finish goes on. I'm a little disappointed with the bottom, but it's as good as I can physically get it. It's on the same plane as the slips, which is what captures the bottom piece. But the reveal is not exactly the same all the way around. I wanted it to be a little bit tighter in tolerance. Again, it's going to work out perfectly fine, and I have taken the time. These are the tenons in the back. I cut a little groove right in the middle of the tenon. We're going to put a wedge in there, so I've taken the time to size the wedges just right, and I can't really see. Okay, so once that goes in, this is going to split the wood in this direction, not this way, because if I put it in this way, it'll split along the grain. So you want to make sure you're going here, so that way you're pushing up against end fibers, so the tenon will get wider and the drawer just will never come apart. And all this, the markings and everything that you may be able to see on here, they're all going to come out, because at the end I'm going to plane everything on the outside. So I have to work on the inside, make sure that's as good as I want it before it's glued up. But I don't really have to worry about it, although now that I think about it, because of these wings, I won't be able to do anything with this backside. So let's show you what we did. I have a 180 grit sandpaper. I like to put a little slit in there, and then that way when you fold it, I get 1, 2, 3, 4 clean sides out of it, and never, this is a good size for my hand. Good size for my hand, and sandpaper is never touching sandpaper. So let's just give this a quick, I didn't think about this at the time, but I will not be able to access this well. I mean, it's easier than doing the outside, but while we have the time, I'll show you what's going on. And right off the bat, right here, there is some tear out. And you know what? Let's just take it apart and deal with it now. I'm going to strategically take this apart, so that way everything is in the position I want it. And like if you notice, I had to practice this to figure out, well, how am I going to get all of these pieces in and get it all together? It's like a little puzzle to do that. And everything is marked. So like I have the back of the bottom marked out. There are markings in here so I can see exactly where they go in the finished piece. I have analogous markings on the inside of the joints that'll never be seen again. But we're going to take care of that tear out now. While it's still, yeah, I probably could get a scraper in there after it was together, but this is just easier. So I'm looking to see where that breakout or that tear out is, and we use a cord scraper. This thing will work on any type of grain. Yeah, that tear out is from a plane, and mahogany is very notorious for reversing grain, and it's very pretty, but it makes planing very difficult. And for those of you who dabble in hand planes, there are going to be some woods you just can't plane. No matter how sharp your plane is, no matter how good your technique is, it just won't work because the grain is not cooperating with you. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not a bad craftsman. It's just the nature of the plane. And I'm trying to get only the middle. I don't want to hit these end areas because they fit into the grooves specifically, and I don't want to make these any thinner. So I'm trying to only hit the middle areas right now. And the benefit of hand tool woodwork is this is 180 grit. I don't have to go any farther than that. I'm actually kind of making it, I'm roughing up the edges. I'm not really smoothing it. I don't have to start with, 100 grit, 150 grit and work my way up. This is all the sanding I'm going to do for here. And now that I'm looking, when I sand, there is no dust being captured in the tear out. So that problem is fixed. Now we want to set the gluing up, and the way I've determined, I've got to get these middle pieces in first and then build from there. I've got my glue ready. I've taken the time to clean and organize my bench a little bit. I've got a hammer here, and for the wedges I will be using a steel hammer. That's right by. I've taken the time to clean off the bench, so that way there's no small parts. There's a box I made a while ago. I keep glue sticks, and I kind of have to replenish, but I've got a glue stick there that'll just slide up out of the way. This is a cool little device. I kind of used that when I was putting the pieces down to find out. It's supposed to give you the golden ratio. That's supposed to, so I laid it down, and that's how I laid out where I wanted the inside pieces. Probably should have shown that to you while it was all together. So let's get started. I'm going to start with these back pieces because I marked the back pieces, and I will not need a whole lot. So in this case, I am going to just throw a little glue on my stick. And at this point, this is the point of no return. There's no going back. Do not want to, you know what, I decide I'm going to put it in the hole, not on the thing, because the tenon is just so small on there. So I'm just getting a little bit of glue in there. Do not need, oh, that fits. Okay, good. I do not need a whole lot because there is no structural integrity to this. This is just more of a friction fit to keep those pieces in line. Once the draw is done, all the glue is really going to go on the outside. So I'm not too worried about those being glued in tightly, and I'm putting, that's one, that's two. I got a little glue drop on the, as I'm not really going to futz with it much now, just because of the tight corners. I could wipe it off, but more efficiently I think it's going to be to take a chisel later and just get rid of that little snot of glue right there. I'm just going to do that with the chisel later. So now I've got to do this side. Gluing up is a time where you don't want any distractions, so probably talking during the whole thing, not in my best interest, but I'm going to video it. That's how you gotta do it. I don't want to be taking any phone calls. I don't want anybody coming into the garage to interrupt me, etc., etc. Now I'm just kind of hitting the sides with the glue. So now I found earlier when I was doing this, I found the easiest way was to lay it down and just get those pieces to line up, which ended up being a little bit harder to lay those out than I thought because I had the slips in the way. Normally I would have liked to mark the bottom where these pieces were going, and I kind of messed that one up. That was poor planning on my part, but I wanted the slips in place so that way I knew where the bottom of the hole would be, but it made it harder a little bit more difficult to lay it all out. All right, that is done. Found that sanding that up. I could put it in the vise, but I don't think I really need to. Going to put some glue inside of the sockets, and in this case, I got to do it all in one shot. So we're going to put a little bit of glue in here, a little bit of glue in here, and this is the big one. Glue here, glue here. Normally you do one joint at a time, but because of those middle dividers, I need to do both the front and back at the same time for it to work. And now I'm just going to spread out the glue as evenly as I can. And here I'm going to kind of make sure I get glue on the inside of my mortise, because that is going to, if you want long grain touching long grain, that's where glue really comes into its own. And then here I'm going to put glue on the long grain faces of the dovetails. That's a little bit more glue than I was wanting, but I can always take it off later. And then the glue that's in here, we're just going to kind of pull it up. On the socket, there's long grain in there, which is going to be connected to short grain on here. Shit, I'm looking here and I realize you guys can't really see what I'm doing at this point. So just so you can see, I was putting glue on the internal socket. And now I'm going to fit everything here. Okay, just don't want to get glue freeze, as it's called, which is pretty much what happens when glue starts drying. A little gentle persuasion, get that going. Okay, so just going to take the glue off. I'm going to kind of squeeze that together, make sure it's in. At this point, this is the time where I've got to get the bottom. I got to get the bottom inside of the container. There will be no glue. There will be no glue on here. This is just going to float. I've got the back going towards the back, and that just slips right in. And I know that's going to happen because I practiced and I did my dry run. And we're going to do the same thing now, only in reverse. And you know what? I don't think I really need to do it this way, but for the sake of the video, I think you'll get a better vision of what I'm doing here. So again, I'm going to put glue in the socket, glue in the socket. Okay, glue here, glue here. I guess I could put it on the miter of the slips, but I'm a little hesitant to do that because they're not as tight as I would have liked. I realized, when I was laying it out, I'm thinking, well, no, it doesn't have to be perfect because it's not going to be seen. But in actuality, it is going to be seen. So I was a little loose with the miters on there. They will still work. I'm thinking about maybe plugging it just for visual appeal. And I'm not getting a lot of glue in here. There we go. Just scraping it off. Put the glue in. Cover all of those pieces. I'm a little unhappy with the amount of glue inside of that mortise. So we're just going to Got the glue bottle in the way there, huh? So now I'm just taking the glue and putting it on the sides of the mortise itself. You know what? We could also put some on. I didn't do this on the other side, but we could put some on the tenon. That won't hurt anything. Okay. And now that goes in. I was going to take it out of the... Okay, and I'm making sure that everything is fitting because it's just, there we go. So now it's glued up. I've got some of the glue squeeze out, which is a good sign. I'm going to kind of wipe it off the external parts, which is fine because that's going to get scraped anyway. You know what I did not do? I did not set up my clamps ahead of time, but that's fine. Well, they're right behind me. That'll be good. Let's take care of the wedges. And best way I have found with these is to put a sizable amount on one side. Then you scrape it on the other wedge, flip it, scrape it. Do not need a whole lot. We do need a little bit more than that though, so I'm just going to steal a little glue from here. All right. So wedges are ready to go. I put the first wedge in, and when it comes to wedges, I find the best tool is a steel hammer. And just give it a couple of taps. Excuse me, got the other wedge in my mouth. Okay, just give it a couple of taps. You hear how that's kind of a dead sound. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to take that wedge and put it in one of my dog holes just so that way I can get this flat on here on the bench. And now we do the other. So as I'm getting it right in the slot that I had cut. So it's moving, not anymore. It's not moving anymore. So that's the last. I could keep hitting it. It's not going to do any more. There. So now I'm going to put on a couple of clamps. I'm thinking 4 clamps total. I'm also thinking about putting it in the vise to get that going. But let's grab a couple of clamps. Like to have the tail of the clamps all pointing in the same direction so that way it takes up less room. And we'll show you what we have to do at the end. All right. So that's in. Now I got to go above the wedge here. And that's squeezing that gap, really nicely. Getting some glue squeeze out from the top, really nice. And again, I could flip it around, but now when I store it, I've got from this end of the clamp to this end of the clamp to worry about. So this just an economical use of space to get all the clamps going in one direction. Desperate times though, if you end up not doing it, there's no harm in staggering the clamps. It's just, like I say, uses better use of the space this way. All right, and that's tight. Same thing here. Alrighty, and once it's all dry, later tonight, tomorrow, well, I won't be out here tomorrow. I got to go back to work. But there we go. So get the hammers out of the way. Get that. So let's see what we got. Okay, so we have a fully glued up drawer. Everything looks tight. What I am going to do is find my steel rule. which was here a moment ago. I guess I wasn't as fully prepared as I had hoped. Here it is. Always in the last place you look. And I'm going to now measure corner to corner, and I'm going to have trouble measuring corner to corner with the clamp, clamp in the way. So I'm just going to remove this one, and I'm going to put that right in the corner. Once I put it in the corner, I'm going to read, and I've got 9 3/8, and I'm going to do the same on this side, and it's like 9 and it's about a 32nd under 9 3/8, which means it's about a 64th under perfectly square. And I'm going to be honest, that's perfectly fine by me. That's going to be great. You measure corner to corner, because that'll tell you if the two opposing sides, so the sides and the front and back, are parallel to each other. And if that corner to corner, that diagonal is, if the diagonal is the same, you know you have a square project. It's difficult to get a square inside something like this, because it's too small. Larger products, maybe you can do it, but then that doesn't take into account any bowing that's in there. But I am fully confident that this drawer is square, or at least very least square enough for what I need. And the next step, once we take it out of the clamps, is to clean up the outsides, clean up all the glue that's there. But I will go around and level off the bottom's pretty much done, but you go around, do the top. We'll do these sides. We'll cut off the wedges. We'll plane the sides so that way they're clean, and then we'll start to fit it to its opening. Once it's fit to its opening, then we'll start building upwards. So we're gonna put some runners right above it, which a wooden bottom will fit on inside for for the lidded top, so that way there's a compartment on top of that and doesn't fall right into the drawer. So that was going up with the drawer. There's no going back at this point. Once this is dry, it's going to be there forever, at least the next couple of 100 years. I don't have to worry about it. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.